Hey, what's going on, crew? Welcome to another episode of the Feed Me, Fuel Me podcast. Durs and Jeff coming to you with the man behind the camera, Justin Maxim, Max, founder, JMAX Media, partner, VaporSwift Media. What's good, baby?
What's up?
What up, what up?
How's it feel to be on this side of the lens?
Definitely different, you know, especially hearing your voice, like actually hearing the radio voice.
Yeah.
I'm Michael Landers.
Do I sound like Will
The
Smith?
Feed Me, Fuel Me podcast. I'm gonna seduce you with my smooth, silky, soft voice. giving your eardrums those eargasms.
This guy's a trip over here. You over here trying to spit bars.
Dude, you just recently were featured in Voyage Phoenix, and I mean, I've known you since pretty much the beginning of this launch.
I was in the shit, though.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we met via Rush Club and AJ Richards a handful of years ago, and then you moved to the neighborhood down the street. And we just kind of did a membership trade for some of our media stuff for CrossFit PHX. And that's really the foundation of our relationship that's evolved to where we're at now. And it's super cool to see where you're at, having just left the bar scene to pursue your media talents as a career. But in reading the Voyage piece, I didn't know a lot of that shit that you had going on behind the scenes. And I think that it's really interesting. I want everybody to hear about your journey because so much of what we do as entrepreneurs, especially in the beginning, is to put it delicately, we suffer in silence.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just a long road to hoe for some people,
Right.
man. And you've had one of the longest. I feel like when you tell your tale, it's one of those deals. Like, obviously, we don't live in the Midwest, so you can't use the snow analogy. But it's like, I walked uphill both ways, 130 degrees all year long,
Yeah.
you know? But, you know, you come from the mean streets of Cleveland, Akron, Ohio.
Akron, pretty much the same shit. Yeah.
And, but you know, give everybody the cliff notes of how you got here, man.
Shit, man. Originally, you know, I was gonna go to San Diego, but I probably would have been homeless in about a week. Had I went there, I would have ran out of money. And there was only one person I knew that was living here at the time from the same area. I met him like maybe 6 months prior, and then he moved out here, right?
Okay.
And he was like, "Dude, come to Phoenix." He's like, "You can crash here or whatever." I didn't know him that well, and I was like, "Fuck it, dude." I just packed up everything in my car and then just drove out. I didn't really have a plan. I just knew like. So I was 26 at the time, so I knew like if I didn't like do something like that at the time, then I probably never would.
Okay.
Because me and some friends had always planned on. We always wanted to go to San Diego for some reason, but we always like planned,
Everybody wants to go to
right?
San Diego.
Yeah.
So we wanted to move like in our earlier 20s, you know, and but like when you're dependent on other people, shit don't fucking work out.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I don't think anybody ever really wanted to make that leap. So I just knew at that time like I had to do it. So I just packed up my car and rolled out.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever would fit.
What gave you the balls to start that, dude? Because I know you and I've talked a lot about you were doing the post office and like you sort of come from the mindset of like where your family was like not like the abundant mindset, but like they want you in the government job, things that are secure. What made you take that leap initially?
To move or leave the post office?
To move, like all of that.
I just wanted to change, man. I think I was starting. That's when I started getting into the personal development and stuff like that. And I just knew like it was just. It's kind of hard to explain, man. It's just a feeling I had. Like I love my friends back home and shit, but I knew we were getting older. Things weren't changing. People were doing the same shit.
Yeah.
And I knew like if I was gonna stay around that, then like I probably wouldn't. You know, I'd be doing that too. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the same old like party lifestyle, that kind of thing.
Sure.
So I just knew I had to get out of that. And, you know, picking up and moving like that is one of the biggest ways I think you can find out about yourself.
Yeah.
You know, build that character. And I don't know. I just had to make it, and I just did it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's dope.
So I know throughout my time knowing you, you know, for the longest time, you were really attached to that JOB, you know, and we've been, Jeff and I, and, you know, by virtue of the conversations that we've had on the show while you're filming, you know, a lot of the tone and the message is just take the leap,
Yeah.
you know. And because it's so fresh for you, I'm really interested in your perspective. What do you think it is that really keeps you holding on to the job for so long when you know this is in your heart, this is what you really want to do?
I don't know, man. That's tough. Well, I mean, like the bar. I mean, I've been bartending for like since what 2012. It doesn't really feel like a job.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I go in there and I just talk a lot of shit to everybody.
Yeah.
It's kind of like fun. Like I go there and I'm kind of dicking around. Like it's not even like work. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But I think, oh man, I don't know. Like maybe it's a fear, like a subconscious fear that you don't really realize, and eventually you just get to the point where you say fuck it, which is kind of how I reach all my decisions.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Because I remember all the conversations we had in Madison. Because I knew you before the Madison trip. We ran across just because of Rush Club and all that stuff. But like I said, it like Madison's where all three of us sort of like built that bond between one another. Like that was the start. Because the conversations we had, like we had a lot of fun, but we also had a lot of deep ass conversations.
It was like football camp, man.
Oh
yeah, it was you sleeping in the same room, same barracks, and all that crap, dude. It's like
trying to sleep because Dirt snores like a motherfucker.
Bro,
dude,
really?
Yeah,
dude,
right
bad.
Now? Right now?
Yeah, this fuck sleep.
I know.
Yeah.
Bad.
Now it's like, thanks, guys.
Bad.
Yeah, fucking sleep apnea. Dirt's over
we
here.
talked about my swimming woes. Let's talk about this sleep apnea.
Yeah, dude.
No, but seriously, man, like, how did those conversations affect you, man? Because I know you and Durs had that conversation coming out on the plane, and then when we landed, then I had the conversation with you while Durs is like sitting in the backseat, like, yep, I just told him all this shit. Like, I just told him.
It's funny though, because I noticed when Dirt, so you got the Will Smith laugh, and then it quickly goes to the. Dude, when you lay into people, I noticed this. He gives you like the fucking people's eyebrow. You know, like he's the fucking Rock, dude.
You gotta get this shit.
Yeah, like, it comes out, and you're like, dude.
I hate everything about this conversation right now. This is going sideways.
He never had to lay into me.
But no, it was cool, man. Because some of those conversations, and I wrote about it a little bit.
Yeah.
When you were talking about like where you wanted your business to go, and like you were asking me a question I couldn't answer because I was like, fuck, man. And, like I don't think I thought that big.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or, because the business, like me and you talked about this a lot, being a creative, I didn't know I was a creative until later in life because, school systems and shit you don't learn that. You know what I mean? Some kids might early,
Yeah.
But the business side of things is like definitely was a weakness, And so like you're very good at business and you're very analytical with that stuff. So like the shit you were asking, I'm like, fuck, dude, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know how to answer you.
Like, what were some of the questions that were like blowing your mind?
God, you're just asking about. I remember you were asking about goals, and you're like, "Well, I want." And as an example, you're like, "Well, I want my company to be like $1 billion." Blah blah. And I'm like, "Fuck, I never really thought of that." You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. So it was just kind of a different perspective, that I haven't been in before or been around people that are like that or have goals like that. So that was new.
Yeah, that makes sense because I know after like we'd leave with all the shows, Max and I just sit here and have conversations like, how do you structure like, your consultations when you're, because that's the thing, I've worked with massive companies and I'm good at structuring that stuff out. And it's like, from the creative perspective, like what I've noticed working with creatives is like, they have a amazing artistic creative vision, but they don't know how to price their product, right? And he's like, well, how do I do it going into, JMAX Media, going into VaporSwift? And I was like, dude, this is exactly how I timeline it. From equipment all the way up. And he's just like, wow, I didn't think about that perspective. It's like, you have to be able to, teach people and educate them why film or whatever you're trying to do is important. Yeah. Because everybody's going to look at your stuff and say, why the fuck do I need film? Why do I need video? We know we need it, but $3,000 for a video doesn't make any sense.
Why should I invest? In And
that's the hard part. It's like whether you open a gym, open a supplement company starting video, you have to be able to educate people on this stuff because everybody looks at everybody else's industry and says, why the fuck do I need that? Like I'm already doing good where I'm at. Yeah. And so like those conversations are extremely helpful for myself as well because as you're talking to somebody, like you think like, wow, I didn't know, like you sort of solidify your education, you know what I mean? If you're helping people, but along that journey, man, of just talking to Max and seeing you grow, dude, it's been awesome to see, bro. Because just from that short period of time, it's only what?
Not
even a year yet, dude.
It was it'll be a year August.
August last year, man. And just seeing like where you were then both like from all what like physically, how you've changed your appearance, mentally, emotionally, and like who you are, like how you open yourself up to that comedic side of Max, dude. It's been cool to see that growth, dude.
Yeah, it's like the comedic stuff, man. I think I've been holding that in a little bit, you know. But now it's getting to a point where I'm just like, whatever. I'll just.
When are you gonna do your stand up?
I don't know, man.
Like I want that to be your new side hustle. I want to see. I want to see you on the mic, because you're hilarious.
You are. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I got some. I should write some bits. I got some ideas.
Like if there's ever a place where it's okay to offend somebody, it's on the stage.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to go back to what you were talking about, like with the pricing. I think one of the biggest things, like with video, people don't realize, like they see a video that's a minute and a half, 2 minutes long. That's all they see, and they're like, "Oh, cool, you know, I want that." But then, like, they don't see the back end stuff. Like, you know, shooting's one thing. You know, I enjoy that a lot. Editing is very tedious. It's, you know, you got to sit there for. It takes a long time to edit videos.
Yeah,
you know
for every minute, how much time goes into?
I'm trying to remember the ratio. I think it's like for every hour of video, you want to leave like 5 hours of editing time.
Oh my goodness!
Dude, it's something crazy like that. Yeah. I mean, dude, even the videos we cut for the poll, like those are literally like 1 to 2 minute like clips, like easy clips. But like it probably still takes a minimum an hour to put that together just for the Instagram story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's a lot of hours going into that stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot, man. Because even being on set for like movie productions,
oh god,
they shoot an entire episode. So what you see in that 20-minute episode on TV, that takes 2 weeks of filming just to get that done. And those are 2 weeks of 8+ hour days.
Yeah.
So they're getting how many hours? 30+ hours of footage for 20 minutes of video.
Right.
And so like, yeah, it's a lot that goes in it. And like the back end and like seeing everything that you've had to do like for cutting our show and stuff, dude, it's like, holy crap. That's definitely an intense work, man.
Yeah. Well, we're getting more efficient, so we'll get there for sure.
No, it's really cool to watch your growth, and one of the things that I remember about that Madison trip, you talk about me pressing you, is when it was just when JMAX Media was just a hobby, you know, something you did on the side. That was the narrative when we got on the plane. When we came back to Scottsdale, it was like you narrowed your focus. Like you had this awareness that A, it's possible, and B, like this is what I really should be doing. You know, and it was really cool in a matter of 5 days, and just those really, because I feel like the interviews that we did in those 5 days for where you were at on the fence were so impactful, because we got to talk to Coach Bergner, who's lived the life and he's at the end, you know, talking about, you know, where he's at and what's really important. And then we had Logan Gilbert, who's a beautiful mind when it comes to organizational development, him and Dr. Miller, in terms of what it means to build your brand and construct it organizationally the right way, and all the psychology that goes into that. And then we had Angelo Cisco, the alpha hippie, who I feel like you really vibed with, because he was like, you know, this is how you live your best life inside of entrepreneurship. And I feel like those were the exact conversations you needed to hear when you needed to hear them, to really get the ball rolling for you.
I agree, but I think the biggest shift was when we went to San Diego and we learned about the wealth dynamics test.
Yeah,
because we all took that like after that weekend. And I'm like, man, obviously I'm gonna get creative.
Shout out to Mike Bledsoe for that.
Yeah, I'm gonna get creative, you know, whatever. And then it comes out and it says star, and I'm like, what? And I'm like reading this shit. It's like, here's who you might be like, Oprah. What? No. And then I told you, I was like, man, I don't fucking get it, dude. I don't get it. And then, but I've been reflecting on that. It's like, well, shit, man, I don't know. And now, like, I'm getting more comfortable with that. Like, I don't know exactly what that means. I'm gonna reread the document and everything. And you know, I mean, we've been doing a lot more video shit.
Yeah.
And it's been fun. It's been cool. So I don't know really what's going to happen, but I'm pretty open to it.
Yeah. I mean, for you guys that don't know, the wealth dynamics assessment is where your strengths lie in terms of business and business development, or just organizationally, whether it's business, team sports, or whatever. When you're talking about your role in an organization, that's what wealth dynamics represents. So Max being a star, his primary archetype is somebody that should be the face of the organization.
Yeah.
And it's still like highly creative thing. So I mean, it still makes sense.
Yeah, because if that's your primary, then you have your secondary traits as well that you know, benefit that, dude.
Yeah. What were your secondary and tertiary?
I can't remember. I'd have to look it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Because, you know, if you look at like what you're doing now and what you really enjoy, it everything about Star is in that, you know.
Yeah.
And I wrote about it in Inner Circle, that impact is relative, right? Well, being a star is relative, right? But so you've got Oprah, you know what I mean, like international notoriety, and then you've got Max present day, you know what I'm saying? Both are the faces of their deal, you know what I mean? So you can, and everything in between is the scale of it, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's really easy when it says who you might be like Oprah, and you sit here today like, how the hell is that even, how is that possible? Yeah. That's not the point, you know what I mean? You still have the same organizational characteristics that she has, which shouldn't scare you. It should empower you.
Right.
Because now you have a glimpse of what is possible. Right. You know?
Yeah, I think it's getting there too. And it's crazy because, like, even with the video stuff and, like, what I've done so far, I'm getting a little bit more clear. Like, I still enjoy the video stuff, but I think it's like we talked about this. I think it's like a tool for me right now. And as me and Kay build this, like, I think marketing is almost maybe even more important than the video content, because like it's everybody wants video right now. So like, how are people going to see the video? You know what I mean? So it's the marketing's so huge. So like, and to me it like looks like a big giant puzzle, and I kind of like solving shit like that. So I'm gonna dive headfirst into all the marketing I can do, whether it's social media, like all that stuff, and I kind of really want to hammer that marketing
funnels
side of
and
things.
all that stuff. Yeah.
That's kind of like I think where I want to go right now.
Well, it makes sense. It aligns with what you've been doing from you know, the bartending scene, because you're always people facing, and that goes along with your star quality, because marketing is a star quality. You're standing in front of the camera, getting that product out there. Right. So it aligns with what you're doing.
Dude, I'll tell you what though about bartending is, like, especially at my restaurant, it's super high volume. I think a lot of being behind the bar, you know, is kind of like, I can relate it to business, right? So when it gets super busy, it's just fucking chaos. You know what I mean? You have customers. You're not going to probably please everybody. You know what I mean? There's going to be mad customers, as if you were running a business and like something messes up. And no matter how busy you get, you got to like stay calm. And you got to fucking just get your shit done. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of crazy, like the parallels you can draw between the two.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm like going off of your voyage story. So when you got out to Phoenix, relay that timeline, because you did it so beautifully in the article of where you're pulling those pieces together.
I tried. I told you guys it took me forever to write that thing. You're like, what? It took you that long?
It was good though, man.
If you guys would have read the first copy, it was real shitty, because I thought them being on, you know, online publishing, whatever, they would like edit it and shit, 'cause I'm not an editor. So no, they just post it. He's like, oh, it's live. I'm like, wait, what do you mean it's live? you guys didn't read this? Like, I was like, shit, hang on, can I edit this? Yeah. So it took me like, dude, I spent like the one day like 8 hours rewriting and like, you know, because I'd write a piece and I'd go and reread it. Like, now I got to change that. You know what I mean? So put a lot of time in that damn thing.
Yeah. Like, tell me about the timeline as far as like once you landed in Arizona and like everything that you went through getting up to that point, because when you outlined all of the details, like getting the Rush Club, like start from there, man, because that was the way you pieced those puzzles together was incredible, I thought.
Man, so October 19th, 2014 was when I drove out. Just came straight through. It was like 30 hours. I had my buddy with me. We kind of split time. And that first year, well, so I was living with my buddy and his 2 roommates. There was 4 of us. I was there for 3 months, and then we all got a house together. And another guy from the same area that I'm from, I didn't know him in Ohio, but it's just weird. He went to a high school down the road. So 5 dudes, 1 house, which, I mean, it was fine. Rent was cheap. You know, I was all about making it work then, you know. But it was fucking 5 dudes in a house, man.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fucking dudes.
Yeah.
It's an abundance of wiener, dude. You know what I mean? But that's kind of like about the same time that I got in the Rush Club, you know, within that year. So what was that? 2004? It was probably late 2015.
Yeah.
2016 or whatever. But yeah, dude, it was hard getting the job because I never had to really, you know, I was bartending back home. Before that, there was some time where I was in college, so I didn't have to work. But then, like, well, a lot of people know I used to be a mailman. So from 19 to 23, I used to deliver mail. That actually was a time in my life where, like, you know, that's crucial to where I'm at today, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, first of all, I fucking hated every minute of it. My mom and dad retired from the post office just recently. You know what I mean? So it was only supposed to be like a summer job. It turned into 4 years. Yeah. But it was a really, like, hostile work environment.
Really?
Well, we had a supervisor. His name was Mike. Total fucking douchebag. And I wanted to fight him in the parking lot every day.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, so it gets good. It gets good. He was just like one of those dudes. We all thought he was on drugs, right? And he would come in. He'd be in a bad mood. He'd have these dark circles under his eyes. Like, nothing was ever good enough. And he would always, like, yell. Like, it was just every morning. It was, like, terrible, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
That motherfucker would make me come in. So I was what was called a TE, right? I could do everything a regular mailman could do, but technically I was like a temp. So every year in, like, September, when their fiscal year started over, there was like a week I couldn't work there, and then they'd bring me back.
Okay.
So this dude in the wintertime would make me come in early because our janitor was lazy as fuck and just never worked. You know, he was like always injured or something. They would make me shovel snow and shit, but I couldn't, like, say no.
Yeah.
You know, because I was like the low man.
Yeah.
So, but eventually this dude got busted because the postal police, yes, there are postal police, which sounds weird.
Okay.
They were watching him for a while. Dude got caught for, like, you know, the morphine patches. It was like a knockoff brand. He was cutting them and chewing them, which is a felony while delivering express mail.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But because he's a veteran, he didn't get fired. They moved him to a different office.
Oh, wow.
So it got a little bit better after he left. But, dude, I used to sit in the mail truck on my lunch breaks, and I used to be like, because the closest dude to me in age was like 20 years older than me. So I was, 20 at the time, whatever. 40 years, the guy was 40 years old. That's the close. Everybody else was like 50, 55, whatever. And I just saw a bunch of these people. They're miserable. They're in pain. You know, like they're just waiting for retirement, like hanging on. I'm like, dude, that's not gonna be me.
Yeah.
Right.
So, like, I always had like a business oriented mind. Even then, I just didn't know what the fuck I was gonna do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So having that back then and just not really knowing the how, and like people thought I was nuts when I walked away.
Yeah.
Because I was making good money, especially for being that young. I mean, well, good money to like,
20.
Or just like, most people like
Sure.
with employee mindsets or whatever. Like the biggest year I had, I grossed like 56, and people were like, "You're walking away from that money," and I was just like, "Yeah, I'm fucking miserable, dude."
Yeah.
Because there's some days I worked 7 days a week.
Yeah.
When I was there, you know what I mean? 6 days usually.
Damn.
And it was wild. So like it kind of forced me to grow up a little bit, but like there were definitely times where, I might have drove that mail truck a little drunk or hungover. And I only lasted 4 years because my mom was a clerk there, so she saved my ass a couple times.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a crucial time, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so you meet AJ Richards.
Yeah, he came into my Reebok store. That was the first job I got after like a month or two of being out here searching for jobs.
Yep.
I started CrossFit in 2012. I loved it, So I was like, all right, well, I see Reebok's hiring. I'm gonna go to try and get this job, and then I can network with some CrossFit people. And AJ comes in my store one day. Didn't know who he was, and I'm like, just trying to network like crazy. Sold him a pair of shoes, not knowing he was an owner of a gym, not knowing he was the owner of Rush Club. Because before I met him, I did kind of hear about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, after that, we got to talking and stuff, and like. I went and did I dropped in at his gym, did a workout, and then get a call. Or went to a Rush Club event, and then get a call like 2 months later because he knew I did video production, and then asked me to meet him and Kevin.
Okay.
And that's when I kind of got involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang. So then you moved across town, right?
I kind of lived, so you know Scottsdale Gateway?
Yeah.
So I lived there first
Yep.
a year, and I went from there to San Trevizio,
Yeah.
and then that's when I messaged you.
So that's 2 miles from the gym,
Yeah.
and then your car took a shit.
Yeah, like right before I moved.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this dude is patting and turning
Yeah, dude.
to the gym every day.
Yeah. Luckily, those line bikes fucking dropped.
Right around that time.
And
yeah.
I was like, this is cool. A little quicker ride to the gym.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
hopped on those line bikes, which was nice. And yeah, man, I didn't realize how long I did that for actually until I was
Yeah.
writing about it.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that was
almost a year.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But like, you know, I didn't really think about it at the time. That was just life. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, and I was like, fuck it, dude. I'm gonna maybe lose some more weight walking in this heat. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it wasn't. I was just like, whatever.
But I mean, I think that's like a true testament to the mindset of just getting it done. You know what I mean? You're still in that phase of your life where you don't have absolute clarity on what you want to do, but you know that you're moving in the right direction, right? You're pretty much walking by faith at this point,
Right.
you know, and like it's not until you get to a place in your life where you can talk about it in hindsight where you're like, oh my God, I can't, why'd I do that for so long or whatever. But I think that each of us on a relative scale have that story, you know, you actually just cut that clip of next week's episode where we talked about, you know, it's not doing that makes your story powerful. It's your willingness to do it that gives you that credibility and makes it so, like, says everything that somebody needs to know about you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you're willing to make the dream come true. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like what I just hear, if your why is big enough, you can withstand anyhow. I gotta get so much better. Who the fuck I hear people
That's how
who
it's
say what.
consume so much damn content. It's like, well, where's all this stuff
But I
coming
mean, I think that's kind of like your the summarization of your story up to this point is that you've always known you've become clear on your why. So the how, you're not spending a ton of time figuring it. Now you have the ability to play with the how.
Yeah. You know, and leaving the restaurant, it's kind of like that same thing. It's like, well, I've already ate some shit, so if I have to eat some more shit, you know,
There
whatever.
it is.
Yeah.
Whatever. You know what I mean? Better get hungry, I guess.
Yeah, dude.
You know?
What have you discovered about yourself in this, like, since we have all linked up, man? Because I know you and I talk a lot about vision boards.
Yeah.
And you're a pretty fast manifester, like when it comes to like putting your
I've realized that lately.
yeah,
It's
like,
fucking crazy.
yeah. Like what have you picked up about yourself in this time, man?
Man, I don't know. Like I'm still figuring shit out too. You know what I mean? Yeah. I know. Like right now, I'm at a point. It's just really weird how like things have shifted. Like I think it was Tony Robbins. He's got the quote where how's it go? Like pain, or I forget how it goes. Like the change one, like pain and change.
When the pain of change is greater than
the pain of staying the same.
Pain of staying the same.
Yeah. That's kind of. I think that's where I got to.
Really?
You know what I mean? I'm just like, man, I'm just gonna fucking quit worrying about shit. I mean, I don't really worry anyway. I rarely ever have like. That's the good thing about that I like about myself is like, and I know like with the business side of things that I can withstand a lot of shit because I'm a super calm, laid back person to where like things just don't. I don't worry about anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I see people stress out all the time. I'm like, fuck, man. I was like, I don't like when people are depressed or anxiety. Like I have a hard time understanding that.
Yeah.
Because it just doesn't exist in my world.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds weird to say. I know people are probably like, that's fucking bullshit. But I'm like, I mean, I just don't. You know what I mean? I don't know. probably because I do rely on comedy a lot. Like,
Yeah.
Some of these people you cross in a day look like they haven't fucking laughed in 20 years.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, you guys need to fucking smile a little bit, laugh a little bit. You know? What I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where's that come from, dog? Like
The comedy stuff.
like all of that.
Dude, I think my grandpa, he's kind of like one of those jokesters, except he's like, it's really corny and clean, you know? And like he would crack jokes all the time. And it doesn't matter if anybody even laughs at it because he's going to laugh at it. And it's going to be loud as fuck. You know?
Yeah.
But I think my mom, I give credit to my mom because, like, I mean, like, I'm not a parent, but like looking back, I'm like, like she took me to freaking see when the South Park movie dropped in 98. I was like fucking 10, 11 years old. I went and saw that shit. So like at a young age, I was just exposed to like some stuff, and like I was just kind of ahead in like in that realm. So big Chris Farley fan growing up. When that dude died, I was like, oh, like as a kid, I was like, shit, that was like one of my idols. You know what I mean?
You felt it.
Oh yeah. So and I always kind of had a thing for like stand up and stuff, but I don't really know where like. I like some fucking dark comedy. I don't know where it really originates from, but that's like my shit, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But you know, when I look at your delivery and the style of comedy that you enjoy,
I was just thinking back to the Madison when I showed you guys Jim Jeffries. They're like, I don't know who Jim Jeffries is.
That crap.
Oh,
that was freaking. That was a mess.
Your delivery and the style that you enjoy, you know, you call it dark comedy, but if you really view it from an objective standpoint, it's really, I guess most comedy is. What makes it funny is that it's real and it's honest. It's just not dinner table conversation.
Right.
I mean, I'd have it at a dinner table. You know.
You know, but I you know, it matches. I mean, that's you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think one of the biggest character traits that you demonstrate is just being true to who you are. Like you are unapologetically you. You're not afraid to be Max. You know, and when it comes to that star trait that we're talking about. That you've now embraced, I mean, that can only help you because you don't give a shit. You know what I mean? You're doing everything that you're doing for you with an honest mission to help others. And because you're not inhibited by the perception of what other people think. You know, you can really take this thing to distance. Yeah,
it's kind of like I know Tom Bilyeu says it. Gary Vee kind of talks about it a little bit too, like why they cuss, and it's because like you know if anything ever got out, if they didn't cuss in their videos and then it got out, people would be like, you know. So like for me, I'm kind of like the same, where it's like if I crack a joke or if if something comes out of my mouth, you know what I mean, like it's not a shock.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So like. Because I mean that could kill if you're like a business person and like that happens and then people don't see that, then like I could see where that would hurt your business. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it's like I just want to make sure nobody's fucking shocked about anything that comes out of my mouth. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
you have
get
to,
it out there now.
Yeah, you have to embrace that authenticity, and it's like the time we live in now is that you're allowed to do it on platforms because you know back when we're growing up. You had to have that
the suit
about had to have that about face because it would just destroy you. But now that there's more transparency in the world with social media aspect, you have to show your authentic self, man, because that's what's gonna make it resonate to audiences, you know.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right about that, man.
I mean, you're watching the downfall of a lot of some in a lot of extreme cases the downfall of celebrities that you know. Kept it clean when they didn't have cameras on them all the time.
Right.
And now we're in the age of social media where there's a camera everywhere and they're like, oh shit, he's really like this, you know, endorsements gone, blah, 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 blah. Where now you can be who you are and capitalize on that as opposed to putting on the face.
Right.
You know, my publisher, when I was in the final stages of editing Inner Circle was like, hey, you know, you say fucking here a couple of times. Are you sure you want to keep it in there? I'm like, that's
fuck yeah.
I was like, well, that's how I talk.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I was giving a presentation in grad school.
Oh yeah.
Crushed it, A+, and then I got to the Q&A portion, which I was still graded on, and some kid asked me a question. 'Cause I'm like, what was that, Billy Madison? in grad school, old as shit with all these young
That's
kids.
funny.
And they asked me a question about the fitness industry, and I was like, that shit is only in textbooks. And I got downgraded to a B. Like, but that's how I talk.
Yeah.
And that's how we were allowed to brief in the Marine Corps, you know? Like, you can, but that's who I am. That's who you are. That's who you are, you know? And I think that where you're light years ahead of everyone else is you embrace who you are, and that's conveyed in your delivery. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And watching everything that you're putting out there on social media, that's a reflection of this recent transition, I think is massive for people, because you're in the thick of that transition. So, and you've been in and around social media long enough that people can watch your evolution in real time, where, just speaking for me, like, I embraced the game after I decided who I was. You know what I'm saying? So nobody got to see. They only get to hear the story. They didn't get to watch the story like they get to see through you.
Yeah.
And I think that's super empowering for people.
Yeah. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy just to see this. I mean, I've reflected on it recently. I'm just like, man, I don't know where this came from, but it's just like, it's just different. Like the feeling, and like people ask me, are you worried that you like walked away from your job? And it's like, I think Kay's more worried than I am, dude. Like, I'm just not. I don't know why. I'm just not worried.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know?
Because you know it's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was definitely time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just weird how that shit works out, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
what books have you and I talked a lot about books, but you know, what books have transformed you? Because we talked about that one, My Big Toe, and you have some, like, you're deep as shit, dude.
My Big Toe is real fucking deep.
What are some books that like really resonated with you, man?
I think my most favorite book, I like psychology. I think understanding how people work is like huge, right? And it's been mentioned on the show before. Joe Dispenza, I think's how you pronounce his name. He has Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and like that's one of my most favorite psychological books. Like how he dives into the subconscious mind. It's pretty much talks about the subconscious mind, you know, and how much of a bitch it is, you know. And it's just a super fascinating book, and it blew my mind. And that's definitely my number one book that, you know, for me, that I would recommend to anybody.
What about that book specifically, like, that really hit you, if you can think of, like?
I think one thing that sticks out, what he was saying, and I don't want to butcher it, but so like, I think 34 or 35 is that, and you'll see it in people too, is like that cutoff age where like you've lived long enough to where your body does things involuntarily, and your subconscious mind is in control. So like to change your mindset in anything really is super difficult, because you just have these, you know, you kind of live in the past, and you just have these beliefs deep in your subconscious. And like, I was like, damn, I'm glad that I was able to change some shit like early. You know what I mean?
Because you're not as moldable.
Yeah, like the neuroplasticity at that point, right?
There you go.
Yeah. But like at the end of the book, he hammers away. Like he's really big into meditation, because it's like the only way. Well, I don't know if it's the only way, but one of the main ways that you can get a hold of the conscious mind.
Yeah.
And then change things.
Yeah. Speaking of getting a hold of the subconscious mind, you've done ayahuasca.
And we're all gonna go.
Cambo Sapo.
Yeah.
You know, piggybacking on the subconscious mind and neuroplasticity, and being able to break away from who you thought you were to become who you are. Having been exposed to it, was that also part of your transformation?
Oh, absolutely. Ayahuasca is one of the greatest experiences I've ever done, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I still reflect back on that. That's why I want to do it again. So I can, because they say every time you mess with DMT, like the experience is different, right?
Sure.
And obviously I'm in a different place in time now than I was then.
Right.
So I would definitely like to see what would happen the second time. But the first time, like I said, I still reflect on it because I didn't really understand it. I mean, I you know, when I think back on my experience, it was really weird, man, because like when you do ayahuasca, most people, when it hits them with their experience, they go through some dark shit. You know, they're shown a fear that they have that they don't maybe not know that they have, and then after that you can like feel good. I didn't have that. I went straight to fucking feeling pretty good. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's because I'm like calm. So like when I was having my experience, like, you know, it didn't seem like a fear or anything to me, but like it was just a crazy experience.
Well, I think that's a very good point, because most of the people that I know that have done ayahuasca took that journey from in a period of extreme duress in their life, right? So when you talk about most of the stories that you hear, you're exposed to fear, right? like you said earlier, that's not your reality.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it makes sense that that's your story, you know, because you don't walk around with that cape of stress. You know what I mean?
It was the opposite for me. Like when I had my experience and I went under, it was probably.
He talks about that shit like it's anesthesia,
dude. Because it was weird. Because like even though like the best way to explain it to people was like for me like you're aware of yourself mentally, but your physical body just doesn't exist. You know what I mean? So like, but at the same time for me, dude, it was like the most confident I've ever been in anything when I was under. It was weird. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah. But I got a lot of like insight on like energy and stuff because I'm a pretty big energy guy. As you guys have probably learned.
Well, you did the Reiki deal. With Layla.
She was like, whenever we were done, she's like, were you here? I was like, I mean, I thought I was. She's like, because, you know, most people that get on my table, I have to like, I don't know if she's talking about the soul or whatnot, but she's like, you know, I have to be like, you know, you can go. Like, she's like, you were just like, peace. like a ghost daddy, dude. I was just like, out. Yeah. You know? And I was like, oh, maybe I was gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, me and her had some good conversation. Like, that was, yeah.
But, I think that's also like one of an underlying gift that you have is that awareness of energy, that clairvoyance that allows you to walk your path, maybe not with a ton of confidence at times, but definitely without a lot of stress.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because like you're dialed in on that frequency. Like very few people that we've ever met, and we've had some dope people in this seat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like your ability to, as we've gotten to know each other, to walk away from situations at the right time, like, and it just worked out. Like it didn't just work out. You know what I mean? Like that subconscious mind for you is always dialed in to your best interest. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I don't think you give that enough credit yet.
I mean, the energy thing is pretty crazy, man. I still need to figure out. Like, I'm still diving in. I still need to learn about it even more. You know, Layla's like, dude, you're like powerful, and I'm like, okay,
you're a stalker, bro.
You know what I mean? So I need to dive into the energy stuff even more because like I think it was present even like when I was younger. I just didn't know what it was because like from 19 to fucking 25, I just. You know, I partied a lot, you know, drank a fuck ton of alcohol, like a lot. It disgusts me how much alcohol I used to put down. But, and like, I wanted to bring this up because I think when Sam was on the show, she kind of talked about it. I posted a clip about it. And I think a lot of people can relate to this. Like when I was going through that phase, like in my early 20s with all the alcohol and stuff. Yeah. It's like that was my drug of choice, I think, to numb. Like I was very insecure, you know, back then for sure. I was a bigger dude. Like I was fat as fuck as a kid, and then I got fat again, like out of high school. Like that freshman 15 was like freshman 50. But the drinking was a way to not have to deal with like the insecurity or not knowing who I was. And I think a lot of people at that age range are like that. It's kind of expected, like, oh, that's just what you do when you're that young. You just go out and you party. But like, I think it's because there's a lot of insecurity in everybody, and they're just trying to fit in and figure out where the fuck they belong. But looking back, like I can kind of see like my drinking then was just the way to deal with all that. You know what I mean? And definitely wasn't healthy.
That happens, man. But it's just like you said, it's discovery along the journey. Like everybody has their things that they go to, whether it's, you know, excessive working out or drinking at times. Everybody has that fallback, no matter what it may be, how harmful or impactful it may. Sure. It's just interesting that, like, because as I read the story, dude, like there's a lot of shit like you were talking about that I was like, I didn't even, like the way you use the vocabulary talking about going down the road. You're like, I had a smooth road, but I created a lot of potholes that fucked my shit up. You know what I mean? I was like, I never knew this about Max. You know what I'm saying? It's like, getting to that level of like clarity that you have, dude, that's a hard thing to do, and being that transparent, I feel, because.
But I mean, that's that hero's journey that we were talking about that really manifests in your stories. That you don't a lot of the potholes, as you say in that piece online, were of your own making. They weren't even necessarily the universe working against you, or they weren't necessarily lessons that you were required to learn,
right.
To get to this point. It was just like the manifestation of resistance. Like you just don't you're kind of half stepping, and then that creates another obstacle. And then when you commit, a lot of those obstacles go by the wayside. Like they just fall out of existence.
It's kind of like during that time, like when I started coming to the gym and I was walking every day, like I had a bad relationship with money at the time. And like my mindset, it was just a scarcity mindset, like you guys talked about. Like I always worried about like if rent was going to be due and like that kind of shit. And then
living in survival mode, man.
And then the book or You Are a Badass. Yeah, she's Jen's, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, Sincero or whatever. She's got the second book. The first one's good. The second one's like You're a Badass at Making Money, right? And she talks about like using a mantra, like saying like money's energy, and like money flows to me. And I was like, oh, that's interesting, So like I kind of started adopting that, and being like, whatever, not gonna worry about it. Just money's gonna come to me, and that's kind of like my mantra. And you talked about like how it seems easy to manifest stuff for me, and ever since then, like everything shifted. You know what I mean? So like shit just started popping up. As weird as that sounds, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it was just crazy.
Nice. What's your vision going forward, man? Like with leaving bartending just recently, building, partnering with VaporSwift Media. What's your vision going forward?
Man, it's crazy, man. I think Kay and I are gonna do some good shit, man. Yeah. I think we're both on the same page where we wanna blow it up pretty big. But then at the like on the other side of things, I mean, like we talked about it, like starting to kind of like you're already beefing up your Instagram and all that stuff, and like that personal brand, which never really crossed my mind before. That's one of those things with the Star thing. It's like I'm kind of at that point too. I'm like, all right, let's so like we're starting to cross promote each other. So like I kind of want to start building up the personal brand too,
right?
Which is definitely a different shift for sure, because that, like I said, that would have never crossed my mind,
right?
So yeah, man, I just right now with VaporSwift Media, and like I said, me diving into the marketing side of things, I just see us growing this thing, getting pretty big, just creating that freedom. I think for me, freedom is the most important thing. And that's like when I worked for the post office, so I'll tie that back in. I was like a slave to them, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, and you got lunch the other day, and you're like, man, this is what I like. He's like, it's like Tuesday, and we're at where'd we go?
Diego Pops.
Yeah, we're out there, and it's a Tuesday. He's like, I'm done for the day, and I can just sit here, and I'm like, that's what I like, the freedom. And I told you, I'm like, dude, I just want to be able to like, hey, you want to go to San Diego this weekend?
Yeah,
let's fucking do it. That kind of shit.
It's so funny. So like, we went and saw Endgame yesterday at like 2:30, and we walked out. And Jeff was like, "Hey, you want to be an entrepreneur? I do what I want, when I want." We just walked out of a 3-hour movie at 2:30 on a Friday. But there's a requisite amount of work before you can get to that point. But what you're saying is so true. That it's the time thing. You know what I mean? To do what you want, when you want, with who you want. And we shot that video for the thing I'm building yesterday, and the 4 things that successful people spend all of their time trying to optimize, and it's only 4 things: health, wealth, relationships, and time. Right? The first 3, time is the byproduct of those first 3, and as we sat down and had lunch, maybe had a drink or 2, and then we went and caught that flick yesterday. You know what I'm saying? Like that's you know, in a couple hours, I'm taking off to Maui with my wife to celebrate her 40th. You know, like that's what it's all about. You know what I mean? To have the freedom to just put some shit on the calendar or not have anything on the calendar and do whatever the fuck you want, you know, but you got to be willing to do this. What's the quote? Do what people won't so that I can do what they can't or something like that.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
Welcome to PV Filming, where you butcher all the quotes.
It's like it's live like no one else now, so you will live like nobody else later.
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah, exactly.
You know,
and that's you know, you're walking that path, man. And you know, I'm proud of you. And I'm really pumped that you're part of this team and getting to watch you grow as a result, because it's really funny as we, you know, finish up every interview and we kind of debrief it, you know, all the things that you get because you're also in the audience, so to speak, and it's like, that's super cool, and it's really interesting the clips that you choose to pull out, you know what I'm saying, because if they resonate for you, then it's for sure going to resonate with our audience.
Yeah,
you know.
I'm gonna also add too, like I think one of the biggest things for me right now is my internal. I think to me, like happiness is internal, like 100%.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm in a space where I keep everything as simple as possible too, right? I know for me, like as long as I have food, shelter, you know, and I'm good. You know what I mean? Everything external doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And a lot of people are just, I feel like, reach for external shit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And yeah, it's I consider myself fucking happy as shit every day, no matter what. So like, if I'm happy now in this state, even if I don't have like a lot of money or something, then when I do have it, like I'm still gonna be.
It's so interesting to say that, because I just finished Sapiens, and he wraps the book up that way, in that as much as humans have evolved, happiness and fulfillment haven't. It's still a very basic parasympathetic subconscious part of the reptile brain, in that if you talk to, he uses the analogy of two people, one person wins the lottery and the other one gets hit by a bus and loses a leg, right? 5 years from that, in the same day, 5 years from that day, the person who won $1 million and the person that lost a leg will be at the same level of happiness, because they'll just adapt back to normal. You know what I'm saying? So like tragedy and I guess the luck in the case of the case of the lottery don't have anything to do with your state of happiness, right? That's something that comes with it within. It's not the result of an external stimulus, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
And, you know, to be in this place of transition already happy, you're fucking winning, man. You know? Like if you did nothing else,
right,
you're winning. And I love that, because I wish more people got it.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, man. I think most people don't work internally.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're probably fucking scared. I think another thing too, man, and me and you've talked about this. I think I consider myself I'm alone a lot. You know, I've been a loner. Like I haven't been in a relationship in a very long fucking time. But like, I think that's a great thing, you know, because it allowed me to like sit with myself. I think some people can't sit in a room by themselves, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people that jump from relationship to relationship, and I'm like, dude, like, you don't even know who you are.
Yeah.
And you're just like giving yourself. It's like, be alone for a little bit. You know what I mean? And I think that's important for like business too.
It's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you have to get really introspective and like sit in the dark room essentially and find out and cover what you truly want out of life. Not just what's impressed upon you, but what you truly want, you know?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like you're not living somebody else's story, you're living yours. We talked about that a lot, man.
And I don't think you can get there if you don't take that time with self.
Right.
Because you need that time to really come full circle with your beliefs,
Yeah.
with sans the influence of someone else.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
crazy. I told people like I love going and watching movies. You know, I saw Endgame last night and by myself, and like
Yeah.
I just like going to the movie by myself. You know what I mean? It's just like
Yeah.
a thing I've always done or doing whatever. And some people find that weird. They're like, you go by yourself? You don't go with anybody?
No.
No,
Yeah.
it's fine.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
awesome. I enjoy it. You
That's
know what I mean?
dope.
Yeah.
Dude, as you continue on this journey, where can everybody connect with you and, you know, follow everything you have going, brother?
So Instagram would be Justin _Maxim because they won't let me put the fucking period in. I don't know why. it's available, but it's like, no, you can't use this. Try to make it like simple. And then I just got a new business page on Facebook.
And
It's Justin Maxim.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dope. And then
Nice.
what about the website for VaporSwift and all that stuff? You're
VaporSwiftMedia.com is live right now.
okay.
Mhm.
So you can go on there if you.
Are you taking new clients? Are you open
Absolutely.
for business?
We are open for business. We're ready to roll.
Make the close, man.
Yeah.
Call to action. If you guys need video,
Hit us up. Yeah.
Dope,
So,
dude.
good for you, man.
Yeah, I'm pumped for you, brother.
Yeah,
Shit.
totally. You know, it's been. I know this year hasn't been without its challenges, but you're pushing, man, and it's all manifesting in real time for
Mhm,
you.
mhm.
So real excited to see what else you manifest.
Yeah.
Because like Jeff was saying, you're not only a star, you're a manifester.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, and you're really good at it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, man. I fucking definitely would be here if it wasn't for you two. So
Yeah.
yeah. So thank you for that.
No, thank you, man.
No,
You've
man.
It's
No,
been nice to have you
much
along, dude.
appreciated, bro.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, for everybody out there in our tribe, for everybody out there in our tribe, get out there, support everything that Justin, aka Max.
That was weird.
You ruining my clothes, man. I'm
Man.
trying to close it
You
out.
said Justin, man.
Support everything that Max has going on. Check out VaporSwiftMedia.com.
Uh-huh.
They are about to launch some very incredible things,
Mhm.
and you know, take advantage of this time because they're not always going to be available.
Right.
So appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you,
No
boss.
problem, man.
Yeah.
It's been real.
Until next time, guys. Feed me, fuel me.
Peace.